Hello and welcome to everyone. Today we have a special guest. It's MMA Titan FC fighter. It's Chris the Jungle Johnson. So Chris, can you please put a brief introduction, tell something about yourself so we're ready to roll? Go for it.
All right, so my name is Chris the Jungle Johnson. I've been fighting since about 2013. Started off AMI, went pro really fast. Had a lot to learn while I was pro, and just the type of fighter I am. I love to fight anybody, anytime, anywhere, and it's just always stuck with me since the AMI. So can't change it.
Excellent. When did you start MMA? Did you start some other martial art in the beginning or it was MMA in the beginning?
So the way I started was I started in high school. I started wrestling. Right. I got in trouble in school. I slammed the guy in the hallway, and the security guard, which also a police officer, he told me either I get suspended or I join the wrestling team. So I joined the wrestling team my sophomore year. I went to state my senior year. I went to college for about a semester, came back, and then I started MMA training in 2013.
Yeah, it's awesome. Can you please elaborate your nickname, your moniker, the Jungle?
The jungle. So I got that nickname about I think my second or third amateur fight. My teammates were just telling me, man, like I'm like an animal in there, you know. And I was just thinking hard, like I really wanted a good nickname that nobody else had. And I was like, you know what, I do like to be an animal, but I don't want to be like the wolf or anything else like that. I want to be the jungle because I can just be any animal I want to in there. You know, every animal is good at something. You know, not all animals are the same, and I wanted to have the skill set of every animal I could. You know, instead of just being one.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. One of the most original nicknames I've ever heard. So, which is your fighting style? You also compete in boxing and kickboxing, right?
Yes, yes. So even with the boxing, man, um, I went pro in MMA. So with boxing, you can't be pro in MMA and then be amateur boxing, right? So I went pro MMA and I went pro boxing right away with no amateur boxing matches. I mean, the first guy I fought in a boxing match had over 40 amateur boxing matches. I had zero and had a really close split decision, draw. And then it was a draw, but one judge scored it for him to win. So in his hometown. So to get a draw in somebody else's hometown is pretty good. So it was a fun fight. He was like 6'2". I'm 5'6". Huge guy.
Awesome, just awesome. Who are your coaches at the moment?
So I was training at Top Notch in Chicago, Illinois. I was there for like the last 2.5 years. I was actually living inside of the gym training, so I was eating, sleep, train. That's it. I didn't have any friends there and any family. You know, I didn't talk to any girls or anything like that. It was just strictly training. And January, I ended up moving back here to my hometown in South Bend, Indiana. So that's where I'm at right now. Currently, I have a couple of teams that I'm talking to about joining, but I'm not for sure of what team I want to join yet. It's hard, man. It's hard figuring out another team that's best for you. I don't want to leave my team, the Top Notch. I've been there forever, and I'll always rep that team, you know. So it's kind of hard for me trying to just find a different team that's the same because they're a lot more like a family to me. And you know, some gyms are like family, some gyms want your money. You know, it's hard to find a really good gym that are there for you as a fighter. You know.
So, can you please discuss your first amateur fight? Do you remember it? How was it? Who did you fight?
Oh man. So when I started fighting, it was in Michigan, and this is when there wasn't sanctioned. Like we didn't have blood work done and no physical forms or like nothing, nothing. It was just straight up. You show up, you fight. That's it. Um, the guys who trained me weren't like real coaches. They were my teammates. You know, we didn't have a coach when I started. We all trained in the basement here in South Bend, and we would just go to Michigan and fight. And so my first fight was in Dowagiac, Michigan, or yeah, Dowagiac, Michigan, in the backyard. They had a cage set up. Joel Chapman, who's actually a pro, he's throwing a few shows as a promoter as well. I fought for him, and I fought the first guy I fought 6'2". We weighed in. I weighed in, but he was a lot heavier than me. He was way bigger. His name was Justin Overton. I don't know if he's still fighting right now, but he had a lot of fights. Justin Overton is a huge guy. So we get into the cage, my first fight ever, and never even like sparred a lot. I planned my first fight after maybe a couple of weeks of training. Right, so I'm nervous. I don't know what I'm doing. I had a little bit of boxing. I trained boxing for like maybe 1 week at a church type facility. So I go in there, and as soon as the fight starts, my instinct just kicked in. I just ran after him and just start swinging at him. I have the fight on YouTube. It'll be like Chris the Jungle Johnson first fight ever, or first MMA fight. And you'll see, like, I just run up to him and I'm just hitting him. So he balls up. I just start kneeing him really hard. I drop him on the ground, then just start swinging at him, you know. He gets back up. I start kneeing him again, bring him back down, hitting him. So I'm like completely dominating at this point. But then we're on the ground. I go for a new move that I had just learned. It's kind of like a calf lock. So I had my legs in. I go for the calf lock, but it didn't work. And when it didn't work, he ended up getting up, grabbed my legs. He took me down. Now, at this point, I have zero jiu-jitsu, like none. This is right after like kind of wrestling. So in wrestling, you don't want to ever be on your back. So you turn to your stomach. But in MMA, you never want to be on your stomach. You'd rather be on your back, right? So I ended up turning around, giving him my back. He chokes me. I didn't even really know what a tap out was. I just fought until I couldn't fall anymore, and I actually ended up falling asleep in that fight. My first fight ever. So that was a huge lesson for me, not to go too crazy in the beginning and get tired and get taken down. When you do get taken down, don't immediately go to your stomach. You know, I had a lot to learn in that fight, but it was fun.
How was your first professional fight?
First professional fight. I would say it was fun, but I just didn't know enough. And I went pro after maybe, let me see, I probably went pro after like 6 months of fighting, 6 months of amateur fighting, or 6 months of even learning how to fight. I went pro. And that's like saying, you practice basketball, you just learn how to play basketball, okay, now you go try out for a pro basketball team after 6 months of training. It doesn't work out like that. It doesn't work too good. So you have to really train and really know how to win before you go pro. And me, I just fought. I didn't know how to close fights or anything like that. I just fought the best I could. You know, amateur, I was 10-2 with a lot of finishes, but those other guys didn't know the best either because, like I said, we were fighting in Michigan, which is unsanctioned. It wasn't the same. Not everyone had a real team, you know, real training, how they're supposed to train like it is nowadays. We were kind of just scrapping back then.
Yeah, I understand.
But
Can
my
you
first
discuss?
fight, yeah, my first fight was good.
Yeah, what did you say?
Yeah, my first fight was fun though, man. Like I got a bunch of takedowns in the fight. Like I said, I'm a wrestler, so I just took him down a bunch of times. He was getting me in the stand up. I got kicked in the head a couple times. But just I never got like knocked out. You know, just I always get like kicked in the head and stuff like that. Like when I first started fighting pro, and it just for some reason you see like these head kick knockouts in the UFC and stuff all the time. But I get kicked in the head, and I'm just like, oh, I got kicked, but I keep fighting. It's so weird. So hopefully that doesn't happen to me anytime soon.
Yeah, I understand. Can we discuss your first professional win? Correct me if I didn't read well. Rami Daoud.
Yeah. So my first professional win was actually short notice. My coach called me. My coach from Chicago called me because I was living in South Bend at the time, where I am now, and I wasn't training. I was just working a normal job. He calls me. He goes, "Yeah, I have a fight for you, undefeated guy. You can win this fight." And one thing about Mac, my coach, I know he'll never put me in a fight that I have no chance of winning. So I knew he was telling the truth. I could win that fight. So I said, all right, I'll take it. And I just go up there, no conditioning, no real training, here. And I just fight him. And when they told me, like, I'm better at standing than he is, it just made me believe in myself a lot more. And when I went in there, I really believed that I was better than him. And I fought like it, I put a lot of pressure on him. And he was pretty slow, on the stand-up side. He was a good fighter, like he had good conditioning, but real technical. He just wasn't fast at that time, and I was just using my speed and my aggression against him. And yeah, that was probably one of the most fun fights I've ever had. obviously because it's my first pro win, but I mean, I've had over 40 fights now, and that was definitely one of my top 3 fun fights I've ever had.
Excellent. What can you say about Kimura loss against, I believe it was Pedro Velasco?
Pedro Velasco, oh man, honestly, man, I think that dude was on steroids, bro. Cause man, hey, look, I've never got picked up the way this guy picked me up in my entire life. Still to this day, no one has ever picked me up how he picked me up. This guy, so we weigh in another short notice fight. I have a slight problem with taking fights. When people ask, I've never turned down a fight a day in my life, and everyone knows that. So they kind of use that against me. Hey, Chris, you want to take this fight? And I say, yeah, because I just don't turn down fight. I love the fight. So sometimes when I'm really not prepared to fight, I fight. This was one of those times. I go in, I weigh in. So I'm on weight. I've never missed weight. All of the fights I've ever had, I've never missed weight. This guy comes in, he's like 5-6 pounds overweight. I still accept the fight. The day of the fight, huge guy. So we fight. I take him down. I put him in an arm triangle choke. He's doing. He gets out of it. Which I wish I knew how to adjust it now back then, but I didn't. And he gets up, man. And from then on, it was just all him. He's beat me and standing up, got me on the ground, and he was just wailing on me. At one point in time, I went for a takedown. Oh no! I went for a guillotine. I hit him in a guillotine, and the guillotine was so tight. But this man literally grabbed like underneath my legs and suplexed me upside down and like threw me across the cage. I've never been thrown like that before. If you watch the fight, you'll see what I'm talking about. That was insane. The crowd's reaction was crazy. And after he did that to me, I kind of lost my confidence a little bit because, like I said, still to this day, I've never been thrown like that. That was like amazing. I was so confused, man. So yeah, that was just one of those fights I wish I was ready for. I wish we was both in the right weight classes at that time, for better fights. And I just wish I knew a little bit more what I was doing. Like now, I know a little bit more, a lot more actually. Like standing up, I'm more comfortable standing up now than I am on the ground. I used to be more comfortable on the ground, But now I love to fight. So standing, I love the bang, man. That's probably one of my problems now. Like everyone knows that I'm more towards the boxing side now, so I go in there and I just try to fight, man.
Yeah, I do understand. About Askar, I interviewed his brother many times. I've been with Motos many times, but never been with Askar. So, what do you think about him as a fighter? I mean, they say he is a very powerful, very strong fighter. His brother also said that, but what do you think? You share the cage with him.
What's his name?
Askar.
Oscar. Oh man, that was one of those fights. I took that fight on like a 2-day notice, man. This is one of those fights that I wish I could take back. I wish I could take this fight when I was in Chicago at training, because it would be a way different story. Most of my fights, all of my fights before 2016, I was still amateur, basically fighting in the pros. I just didn't know what I was doing. But man, that guy he's really aggressive. I would say he's very aggressive, Oscar. He tried to take me down in the fight. He didn't take me down. He kept swinging at me. I'm still standing. Never got knocked down or anything like that. The problem in that fight was the ref is yelling at me, saying he's gonna stop it. I'm still swinging back at the guy. Of course I'm taking damage. That's what fights are. You're gonna take damage. One guy is gonna take more damage than the other. But I'm still swinging back. And he goes, I'm gonna stop the fight. So I get away from Oscar. Like you'll see in the video, like I get away from him and I'm yelling at the ref, like, no, don't stop it. Like I got
I've
away.
seen.
And the ref thought that I said I quit. So if you look at my reaction in the fight, like I was pissed, man. I tossed the ref's hand down, like what? Like no, man. Like I wasn't done. I would never quit. Like I would never say the words "I quit" in a fight. I'll just get knocked out or just go to sleep or something, man. I don't say I've quit, especially not verbally, man. That's like it's just not who I am. Nothing wrong with it. Someone out there like wants to say I quit for your own good. more power to you. You know, I'm not saying that that's the wrong thing to do for anybody. I'm just saying personally for me, I would never do that. You know, so it kind of hurt me and hurt my pride, you know, when he stopped it, and on my record now it says vertical submission. It's not what happened.
Well, that's actually the reason I ask you because from what I've seen at Titan FC, you're not the guy who would surrender that easily. So it was kind of surprising to me. And I watched with Oscar, and I wasn't thinking that you were taking too much damage. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No. I've definitely had way worse, man. He was punching me, yeah. And like I said, that's at a time when I wasn't training. Like these fights are legit. Less than 2 weeks notice, 1 week notice while I'm not training. I'm just working a normal job, whether it's at a Sprint store or something like that. I'm just working like a normal person. And I just take a fight. Okay, go up there and fight. So my conditioning isn't how it's supposed to be. So I'm on the cage. I'm getting punched, yeah. I'm swinging back. But it's not that he's just completely kicking my ass or my butt, you know, sorry for my language. Just completely kicking my butt. I'm tired, man. And it shows in the video, you know, even when I swing back, I'm swinging back slow. So it's just, he wasn't hitting me hard or anything like that. Like I said, he never knocked me down. It was just he was punching. Like he knew what he was doing. He just wanted to just keep punching. So they were kind of fast punches, but not hard punches, you know. And not so fast to where they hurt. It was just constant movement, constant punches. He was making sure he was staying active on me so I couldn't get off. And like I said, like Oscar's a really smart fighter. He just lost to my teammate, Saeed. So I don't know if you know who Saeed is, but he's a really good fighter as well. And Oscar rushed him kind of how he rushed me when I wasn't training, and he ended up getting knocked out, you know. So I hope he bounces back, you know, because he is a good fighter. He deserves to, you know, find a little bit more fights and maybe go to the UFC. So good luck to him in the future.
Yeah, I agree with you too. How did you defeat Edgar Flores? It was a very, very quick victory.
Edgar Flores. So I was actually supposed to fight his teammate. I forgot his name. I ended up fighting him. I ended up forgetting his name, man. What is it? So anyways, so I was supposed to fight his teammate, but his teammate was like talking trash back and forth to me. And then his coach like pulled his teammate out. He said he got hurt or something like a week before the fight, right? So, Faraz Khan, that's his name. I was supposed to fight Faraz Khan. But, so Edgar Flores stepped up for his teammate. And what ended up happening was, I also have the utmost respect for Edgar as well. We ended up going to the interview. We weighed in. So during the fight, I'm just ready. This is when I just came back to Chicago to, like, really learn how to fight and really train. And I was training for like 3 months straight. The coach would not give me a fight. There was no more, you know, taking the short notice fights how I was back here with no training. So I had to train for 3 months straight, and I was just ready to fight, man. Ready to get in there. And as soon as the fight started, you know, you think you're going to do a bunch of stuff, and then your nerves kick in, and you're just like waiting and waiting and waiting. So that's how, so at the beginning of the fight, I'm just waiting, you know, I'm just filling him out. He's throwing at me. I throw like a 1-2 at him, you know, just constantly going back and forth, but not enough action. And he's backing me up against the cage, and once he just gets close enough, I just throw like a 5-punch combination, and the last 3 punches ended up hitting him. It was like 2 hooks back to back. Ended up clicking, and then once I seen him drop a little bit, like buckle, he went like that, and I still to this day, I don't know what came over me, but that combination, I can't do it. Like, I'm trying to still do it to this day, and I'm just like trying to figure out what made me go so fast and such an instinct. Like, I need that right now. Whatever that was, I need that. I was like, I don't even remember. It's like I blacked out, man. It was like Super Saiyan mode or something. It was crazy. But I hit him with another like 5-punch combination, and he just ended up going down. Tried to hammer fist, the ref stopped it. But that was one of the fights that I'll definitely never forget. The only thing that I will forget is how the heck I threw that last combination so fast. That's what I need back. I need that instinct. So, yeah.
So, would you call it a punch combo or a punch flurry? I mean, you said you don't remember what you did, so...
I remember I watched the video quite often, so like I can see from the video what I did. But being there, I don't remember throwing those punches. Like there's a lot of fights where I can remember from the fight itself what punch combinations I threw. In that fight, I just remember going like ducking my head and just do 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 do. And that's it. I don't remember what punches I threw until I watched the video. When I watched the video of that knockout, man, I was like so shocked. It shocked me because I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. How did you choke out Sean Rao?
Sean Raw. So that was a good fight. He was a really strong guy, really aggressive. Like these are fights. Like I said, sometimes when you know you're a good wrestler, you can either choose to go in there and just take a guy down and go every single round on the ground, or you can try to challenge yourself. And this was one of the fights where I really wanted to challenge myself standing. I knew he was good standing up. I knew that he lost pretty much every fight on the ground, So I wanted to kind of prove myself and see how good I am. So I went out there and I stood up against him. And it was kind of, scary at first. I had to fill him out, just like anybody else. 135 weight class, I'm usually the smaller guy almost every single time. So everybody I fight is always bigger than me. So I'm filling him out. He's like strong guy, just throwing punches at me nonstop, kicks at me nonstop, and I'm just getting my timing down. And this is the first round. And towards the end of the first round, with maybe like 2 minutes left, I ended up just waiting for him. So he was coming at me, and I just stopped and just loaded up, and he just ran right into me, and I hit him with a hook, and I tried to hit him with another one, but he failed before I hit him with the second punch. I just sprawled, went behind him, grabbed his back. He got up. I was literally on his back like a monkey, man. I just would not let go. I just ended up choking him. He pulled me against the cage, and I believe he lost his last couple fights by rear naked choke. So he was really set on not losing that fight by rear naked choke. I hear his coach, like you're not gonna lose this time by rear naked chokes. You better not get choked out. All this stuff. Like I hear his coach saying that while I'm fighting. And so I'm just squeezing, and I'm trying to figure out, like, why is it not working? And my coach just told me to adjust, so I ended up adjusting, made it a little bit tighter, adjusted my feet, squeezed them a little bit better. And as a last-minute desperation move, he ended up jumping forward, which in a lot of fights you're not allowed to do that, but I guess in this one they didn't care. Someone broke their neck like this. But he ended up lunging forward, and we both went forward, and I just held on. I never let go, and it just made it tighter, and then he ended up tapping. He's a really cool guy. Like, I'm basically friends with him and everything. A lot of fighters that I fight, I'm actually Facebook friends with them, whether I win or lose. Like, Instagram friends, like, I respect a lot of fighters, It's usually only the fighters that are really cocky that I don't get along with,
Yeah, I agree.
There's nothing wrong with confidence, man, at all. But you gotta realize that fighting is a sport. You don't see like basketball players like walking around on the normal day, being mean to everybody because they're a basketball player. You don't have to be mean just because you're a fighter. Be mean in the cage, out the cage. You don't have to scare anybody, man. Just be yourself. So.
Yeah, that's good judging according to me. So you had a guillotine choke against Antonio Sanchez, right?
Oh yes, that was a crazy fight. See, like, my family came to this fight, so this is one of those fights I was really excited for, man. And I was training hard for him, and I knew he was a really good kickboxer. I knew he was a pretty good wrestler. He beat Odie Osborne. He's one of the only people to beat Odie Osborne, who's in the UFC right now.
He beat him?
Yep, he beat Odie Osborne. Yes, sir. He beat him by decision. It's on. I think the fight's on YouTube. So that was a crazy fight. So I was already excited for this fight, man. My family's there. This guy is a legit fighter. I think from Valley Flow. And they just told me, my coaches told me while I was warming up, you gotta hit your angles. He's gonna come right at you. You gotta block the kicks. You gotta do this, do that. So I'm like, okay, it's so many voices in my head. Everybody's in my head. There was one of my teammates there was, just calming me down, saying, relax, just focus. So there was a lot going on. People were fighting backstage at the fights. In the locker room where we warm up at, people were fighting and stuff like that, like arguing and pushing and all that stuff. So it was like madness right before my fight. And I just had to clear my mind for a second. I go out there, and when the fight starts, we're going back and forth. Like I said, I'm just feeling him out again, going back and forth. I'm hitting him, he's hitting me. Throwing some kicks, he's throwing some kicks. I blocked pretty much every single one of his kicks. Then, towards, I think it was like maybe 1 minute left into the fight. So, like, at this point, I believe I'm winning this stand-up. I've hit him in the face way more times than he's hit me. I end up getting poked in the eye. And if you watch the video, you'll see me, he hits me like with like a jab with like 1 minute left. And I end up going like this during the fight to try to clear my eyesight a little bit. And he sees that, so then he starts attacking me even more. 10 seconds left, so he's starting to tag me because I can't see well, and I'm worried about my eye. Like everything's blurry, you know. This is my first time in a fight actually experiencing the blurriness that it causes when you get poked in the eye. And so it was just crazy, man. It was like a movie scene. I really couldn't see, and I'm trying to see. He's punching me in the face, and then I just remember like 10 seconds left. He ends up punching me. He throws like a combination, like a 1-2, goes for a takedown. I just grabbed him the guillotine. My leg got stuck on his leg, which was good because he couldn't lift me up right away until I got it all the way in. Boom. So then my leg goes around his back and just chokes. I just remember I couldn't see, so I'm like squeezing so hard, man. Like harder than that was probably the hardest I've ever squeezed anybody in the guillotine before. And he ended up tapping. Like 2 seconds, 3 seconds left, man. And I just remember how hype I was, like banging on the mat, and I was an underdog in that fight. Honestly, every single fight I've ever won, I was the underdog. Every single fight I ever lost, I was the underdog. I was never supposed to win a fight, which is crazy to me, man. So that's what I love about the sport. It doesn't matter what people think. It's all about you when you go in there, what you want to do, you know. So that's what I like.
How did you outwork Solon Staley?
Solon Staley? That kid, man, I would say he's the hardest hitting person I've ever fought in my entire life. Besides boxing matches, man. That Solon Staley, that kid hits hard. That man hits hard. So this was a fight, M1 Global USA. Pretty big fight. I go down there with one teammate. My coach was supposed to come down with me. Didn't end up showing up. So it's just my teammate Kanat. He ended up being there with me, which is okay. He was a great cornerman in that fight. Beginning of the first round, I just remember Solon Staley, man. I was already nervous because I see how many people he knocked down, like on the YouTube videos and stuff. So I'm like, all right. I don't want to go for a takedown right away or nothing like that. I still want to, challenge myself standing up because I have a few screws left up top. So when somebody tells me I can't do something, I try to do it anyway. So knowing that he was a better stand-up or he was a way harder hitter, I kind of wanted to test it. And so when we went out there in the first round, I'm like just throwing some punches. He's throwing some punches. And kind of towards the beginning of the first round, he like hits me with a hook and then hits me with like this hard right overhand and just rocked me. I didn't fall down. I just got rocked so hard. You can see it on camera. And I like stumbled. And when he did that, he starts chasing me and tries to hit me again. I just ducked under it, hit him with a hard double leg takedown. And so that kind of got me my conscience back, and I started fighting. Started like trying to have him on the ground for a little bit. He ended up getting me in the guillotine because that was also like his specialty. He hit a lot of guillotines on people. Ended up getting out of that with a struggle. It was hard, but I got it. Ended up getting out. Now we're back on our feet. We're going back and forth. Now, since I felt the power already, now I'm kind of more comfortable because I know how hard he hits, So I'm a little bit more comfortable now. I can get my spacing right. Now I'm trying to get my timing down. I'm trying to use my reach. I'm trying to use mostly like jabs and crosses because he's so heavy-handed with the close range. So at that point I'm just like picking him apart. He's still hitting me a little bit, but at this point I'm starting to hit him so much, and with the combinations that he was like actually going for takedowns on me instead. So I went for one takedown that entire fight. And in the rest of the fight, he was shooting in on me. And I was still end up behind him and stuff like that on the ground because I would reverse his takedowns, like sprawl and go behind and things like that. But I only went for one takedown, and that was when he rocked me. So I was pretty proud of myself to go from, oh snap, he hit me so hard I have to take him down to, oh now I'm hitting him so hard he has to take me down. It made me feel good. So that was one of the challenges where I was proud of myself for not just doing one thing the whole fight, which is wrestling. I was proud of myself for standing up and really trying to go for it. And entertaining, man, I love to entertain the fans. I think when you're on the ground, there's nothing wrong with it. This is mixed martial arts, so I would never say, man, that was like absolutely like he's a horrible fighter for taking me down and laying on me 3 rounds or anything like that. Because this is mixed martial arts. You have to win how you want to win. It's just the way I like to fight. I like to entertain the fans. I like to have some fun. So if you beat me, you beat me. But I do want to stand up a little bit, if possible, maybe more than 5 seconds each round. To give the fans a fight. And on the ground, yes, I would say even on the ground, sometimes it's entertaining. When you're ground and pounding and things like that, fans like to see it, but over 5 minutes of just the same thing, it gets kind of boring. 15 minutes of just the same thing gets kind of boring. It's repetitive. So at least with standing up, you get to see different combinations, different kind of kicks, different kind of punches. Just all kinds of different things standing on your feet. But on the ground, it's just ground and pound. That's it, ground and pound and submission attempts. So like my last fight, you saw it, man. It was he's an awesome wrestler. I knew that going into the fight. Took that fight on 1 week notice. Awesome wrestler. He's like really great. Like I think he should be going to the UFC pretty soon. I've really good top pressure, all that stuff. I just really wish that he would do more than just like throw a kick and then go for a takedown right away. I wanted him to stand up a little bit, but he was smart for not doing that. That's his game plan. He did it and he won by sticking to his game plan. So hats off to him. I want to have a little bit more fun. So hopefully the next one we can bang a little bit.
So for now, you're in Titan FC or you're inked for another promotion?
Hopefully, so Titan FC is supposed to be for June this month. Again, they're fighting, I believe. I told him, man, I said, man, look, I feel great. I want to fight again this month. Just let me know, And he said maybe he'll be able to get me in again this month, but they'll be bringing me back for sure. So he also told me that maybe he can get me someone who wants to stand up a little bit more. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't care if the guy is better boxing than me, better kickboxing than me. I want someone who's gonna stand up and fight. That's my thing. We can mix it up. Like when me and Salone Staley fought, we were standing up fighting, we were on the ground fighting. It was just a mix. It was both, right? There's nothing wrong with that. It was a fun fight, crazy fight, going back and forth. But just on the ground the whole time, I can't. That's not the type of fight I want, So I can't wait to fight again because I'll make sure that doesn't happen.
Can we discuss your boxing and kickboxing career? Can you pinpoint to the greatest highlights, greatest fights, or maybe you probably have 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, man, boxing is a different sport. Boxing, you can literally beat somebody, and everyone knows that you beat that person. But if you're from out of town, you will lose that decision. I've had boxing matches where on video it's clear that I won the fight, or like clear that the guy didn't beat me, at least a draw, and they would give it to the other guy multiple times. I've had 3 fights that were just like close split decisions that could have gone my way, should have gone my way. And something is wrong when you go to someone else's hometown and box, and everybody from that hometown that booed you when you walked out, like I would walk out and the whole crowd would boo me, like boo. Like imagine hearing that when you're walking out, this whole crowd booing you because you're from out of town. And then when the fight's over, everybody comes up to me, tells me I did so good. I should have won the fight. They can't believe I didn't win the fight. They can't wait to see me fight again. Things like that are what keeps me going. Being able to change someone's mindset like that, they go from booing you to cheering for you. I love that, man. But with boxing, you have to know that when you go out of town, unless you get like higher up and you're on TV and things like that, where it can be watched, when it's like a kind of a low key boxing setting, you have to get a knockout, or you have to completely dominate every single round to where the guy doesn't really hit you at all for you to win. That's what I had to learn in boxing so far. I've even watched a lot of decisions go bad, man, and a lot of people know this. I really don't have to explain it too much. A lot of people know, boxing promoters know. Like, I've had a boxing match where I've literally watched my opponent go up and pay the promoter. Like, we are supposed to get paid. We're pro boxers. We're supposed to get paid. I watched, after my fight, the guy go up and give the promoter money. Pay him for the slot or whatever they call it. They call it a slot. Pay for your slot. Pay for the easy fight. Things like that. So it's boxing is a crazy world. I love both. I love boxing just because you stand up the whole time and you just bang it out. So not the sport itself. I don't like the business around the sport of boxing. I don't like the paying for easy fights and things like that. Fighting 3 to 10 fights all against guys with losing records, over and over and over again. It's not fun to me. I like taking challenges. I like fighting the best guys. So it's just not in my best interest to do that.
Yeah, in my state we have one guy. I mean, he is the son of a celebrity, and he is always getting easy fights in boxing, easy fights. And one guy from my home country, I mean, I don't live in my home country, and he called him on social media. He said, "Alright, you're getting easy fights, come on, fight me, I'm an average boxer." And he said, alright, and he ducked him. So I know what you're talking about. And yeah, he ducked him only because he's a celebrity, but that guy is, master of flurry punches. He's just doing this all the time, but it's almost impossible to stay away from him. He's super aggressive and it's very hard against him. And this guy ducked him, so everybody knows why he ducked him. So yeah,
Exactly,
absolutely. Would you like... one more question before we finish. Do you think of a big KFC maybe, because you're in boxing?
Do you think I can be in the UFC?
A big KFC and UFC. Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship and UFC. Do you think of these two?
I think the UFC fighters are very underpaid. I used to really, really look up to the UFC. I don't look up to the UFC so much now because of how much they're underpaid, for one. For two, how they make the fights now. Before, it used to really be about who's the best fighter. Now it's just who can make the most money for the company, what's the best fight to make, the most fun fight and things like that. They don't really go by who's the best anymore. So I lost a lot of respect for the UFC as much as I love them. Of course, I would want to be a part of them one day. But as it is right now, I would fight for anybody. I wouldn't choose the UFC over like Bellator or anything like that. Not right now. Not the way it is. It's too focused on certain fighters instead of all fighters. So, but with bare knuckle, man, I've had a couple talks about that. One of my buddies, James Warfield, just messaged me yesterday talking to me about bare knuckle because a promoter messaged him about it. He sent me a link for it, and I would definitely do bare knuckle. As crazy as it is, man, as crazy as it sounds, I would definitely do that. It sounds so much fun to just. It's just you know for a fact you're gonna go in there and you're gonna fight. That's all it is to it. There's not gonna nothing else matters. The judges don't matter, anything like that. You're gonna go in there and you're gonna really fight, almost to the death like some gladiators. It's gonna be crazy. So things like that are what I look forward to. Not really to prove anything to anyone else, but for myself. Because this is what I love to do, and I love to take challenges. So just challenging myself in there to see like taking those punches, feeling a different type of pain than like a boxing glove, just feeling like a bare knuckle on your face, and just keep going, and like those are things that like get me excited, man. It's so weird. I'm a weird individual. I'm a very weird individual. I love to fight. So like I said, man, during all this Corona stuff, like I would post on Facebook, like I miss getting punched in the face. I really do. Things like if you really love fighting, then you love getting punched in the face. Not love it, but you'll miss it if it doesn't happen too often. Right. So.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Would you like maybe to add something, greet someone? Is there maybe something we missed in this interview?
Something we missed. The only thing I would say is I would like to tell promoters, if anyone is going to watch this, tell them that when they're matchmaking fights, to try to give fighters a more fair advantage in these fights. Don't call a fighter short notice unless you absolutely have to. A lot of times these guys, these promoters, they wait to the last minute on purpose. They can tell someone a month ahead of time, 2 months ahead of time, hey, I have this guy, he has a fight, so we can be ready. But a lot of times they do these things just so the other guy can have an advantage. They want to build this guy up so they can send this guy from their promotion to the UFC, right? And it makes their promotion look good. Like, hey, I just sent this guy to UFC. Look at our promotion. Our promotion is doing so great. So a lot of times this is what they're doing, and I really don't like it, man. It's not fair to the guys who really put their all into the sport and really want to fight, fair fights. I just don't like the whole setup process of it. So that's all I got to say, man. It's just fair fights, especially to the guys who you see accept the fights all the time, man. Like, I accept fights every single time, all the time. So a guy like me that is like a loyal fighter, and I've never canceled a fight like at the last minute or anything like that. Like, I feel like I deserve respect enough to be set up with a fair fight. Not a fight that I'm gonna win, just a fair fight, a fair notice, not a short notice, 1 week. Just give me a good month or two at least. So I can show the fans, like what I can do as well. So a lot of times we kind of get cut short because we don't get a fair chance. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you so much for this interview. I will now let the video creating, and I hope it will be posting early morning of your time.
Awesome. Nice to meet you. Anytime, man.
No problem. We'll have another one for sure in the future. You can just hit me up, no problem.
Yes, sir. Will you be going to the Titan FC this month?
I will probably watch it. I mean, I don't live in the US, but I will probably watch it. I mean, if UFC Fight Pass works in my state, I watch. If it doesn't work, it depends, but this time it worked.
So are you having any fights in your area anytime soon?
Well, we don't have UFC, we have some we have some very much promotions that are low level, low level compared to UFC, Bellator or so, but, I live in Belgrade, Serbia. If you heard of, he fought in the UFC, Darko Stosic.
I don't know.
Dusko Todorovic, he is now in the UFC.
Zabit? Is Zabit from the same place or no?
No, this is from Serbia. I live in Belgrade, but if you ask about my ethnicity, Blagoj Ivanov is from my state. Blagoj Ivanov who fought Derek Lewis. He is Bulgarian, just like me.
Oh, okay, cool, man, cool. Hey, well, I have my passport, so if you guys have any fights out there, let me know.
Absolutely, we will be. No problem, bro. So, Blagoj Ivanov and I are from the same city, we are both from Sofia. I was born in Sofia, but I live in Belgrade.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Which place do you like more?
Well, it's a tough question, I grew up in Belgrade, it's a cool city or so, but I miss my country all the time, and you know how it is. I mean, if you live in a foreign state, I'm half, but I feel Serbia is a foreign state to me,
Right.
More like Bulgaria.
I definitely feel that, man. Well, I hope you have a good one, and thanks for hitting me up for this interview, man. I've seen some of your interviews. You're really good. You're a really good interviewer. Really good questions. So, uh, all the fans who are watching this, stay on the lookout for this guy. Keep watching his videos. He's really good at what he does.
Oh, thank you. I have some very, very special video which will also be posted tomorrow.
Thank you.
I will post it too. Have a great day.